I mean, it's only January, but so far I'm gonna give myself an A for effort on my Make 9. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Hilo Stitch podcast. I'm your host Kristen, and I am here to talk to you about, what else? Knitting. Today we are mostly going to be talking about my Make 9 plans for 2023. And I obviously have a pattern drop for you as well. Thank you so much for joining me for the episode today. I hope you are subscribed to the channel. If not, please go ahead and click that subscribe button. It is greatly appreciated. If you don't know me already, my name is Kristen Janik. I'm a somewhat retired knitting pattern designer and an all-around yarn and knitting enthusiast, podcasting to you from my home in the Maryland suburbs of Washington, D.C., where I live with my husband, 2 little boys, annoying dog, and old grumpy cat. When I am not knitting, you can find me doing yoga, vegetable gardening, drinking wine, sometimes sewing, but it's mostly about the knitting, so let's go ahead and start talking about it. All right, let's start New Year right off with a pattern drop. I just published this hat pattern. This is the Fox Gap hat. Familiar, it is because it has the same cables as my Key Rock cardigan, which I am also wearing today. So I published Key Rock a couple of months ago, I think, and it is all over, cabled cardigan, cables everywhere. But if cardigans aren't quite your speed, definitely check out this hat pattern. So it features the same cables in this fun conical, pretend to be a gnome shape that I really like and seems to be very popular now as well. The pattern includes 4 sizes. It is knit in worsted weight yarn. My sample is knit in Durera Natura Gilead. I think this is the Sage colorway, or no, Eucalyptus. I can't remember. It's one of those 2. I threw the label away. I don't know. It used less than a full ball. This is the small size of the hat. So it's, I think, 18, 20, 22, and 24-inch brim. All of the sizes should use 1 ball or less of the Gilead, or you can use somewhere between 200 and 250 yards of your favorite worsted weight yarn, and that ought to do it. So I will have links in the description box down below for you to grab this pattern either on Ravelry or over on PayHip as well. I'm going to wear this hat for the duration of the podcast. 1, because I really like it, and 2, because I really should have washed my hair this morning and I just didn't feel like it. So this way I don't have to do my hair. I can just wear the hat. It's kind of covering my ears though, so I'm not sure if I can hear all that well. The pattern has both charts and written instructions. So the cardigan pattern has just charts because there are 10 sizes and charts for every single size. But the hat has charts and written instructions as well. I started my hat, I don't know if you can see, with a tubular cast on. You can just use a regular cast on, or for 1x1 rib, an alternating cable cast on is also really nice and blends in well. And then I also did about a 4-inch brim so I could fold it over. You could skip that, just do a regular 2-inch brim. You could make it even longer, whatever you want. And then the decreases are charted as well as written. So complete pattern in all 4 sizes. Everything is taken care of for you. It doesn't say anything silly like decrease in pattern or anything like that. It's well detailed and really cute, I think, for the winter months. It is cold and windy today, but we still haven't had any snow except for a teeny snow shower here and there, but no accumulating snow. I'm really getting kind of bummed about it. So anyway, available on Ravelry and PayHip. Really cute. The smallest size would probably be okay for kids as well. And I am kind of already feeling like my oldest son is probably going to steal this from me at some point. He has a tendency to do that. So please check that out if you are in the market for a cabled hat pattern as we struggle through these remaining cold winter months. All right, so I wanted to spend some time in this episode talking about my Make 9 for 2023. First, in case you missed it, I had a video last week with my tips for creating a Make 9 that you will actually finish. And I did share my Make 9 at the end of that video, and then I will share it again here. So this is my Make 9 for 2023. As you can perhaps see, it has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 sweaters and then some accessories. And one of the projects in there is actually crochet. So learning to crochet is on my New Year's resolutions list this year. At the end of 2022, I spent about a month on and off translating some crochet patterns into English. And it really kind of sparked my interest primarily for the blankets. I love the idea of knit blankets, but no, it takes too long. They're too slow. I don't have the patience for it, apparently. Because I think I've only ever finished one, like, not baby blanket, but actual like throw blanket for adult use. And I would like to have some blankets. So one of the crochet project is called the Elizabeth blanket. It is by a designer whose real name I don't remember, but whose design name is Two of Wands. And it is a kind of a basic ripple blanket. So it doesn't require any super advanced crochet techniques. I think I'll be able to master at least enough to do that before the end of the year. I do plan to do a video here on the channel when I attempt to start learning crochet, so you can all see how it goes. At this point, I can do a chain. That is all. I cannot do anything else. I can do a chain for a provisional cast on, and that is it. So I do feel like after doing those translations, which had lots of diagrams showing you how to do different crochet stitches, I feel like I have a basic understanding of some of the basic stitches and feel like it might come to me somewhat easily, but I guess we'll see. So that is on the list for my Make 9 for 2023 is my first crochet project. Yarn, I am hoping to just use up some, I don't want to say scrap yarn, but yarn that is in my stash that has not, it's either, like leftovers from projects or just yarn that, I fell out of love with and, but maybe would be a nice kind of basic yarn to make a blanket with. So while this behind me is my well-loved yarn, I do have a couple of bins in my closet of yarn that just, for whatever reason I purchased and no longer intend to use for any knitting projects, but I'm hoping to go through that and just see. I know I've got some like discontinued Knit Picks yarns in there and some yarns that I bought for projects that ended up being frogged or never panned out. So I want to just work from what I have, but I don't know exactly what I have and what I want it to. I don't want it to be like just a random mishmash of colors. I do want it to have some kind of color scheme. I think that's why I like the blanket. This blanket in particular, I think the color scheme for it is nice, and so I want to make sure I pick some colors that go together nicely. But that is that's going to be later this year, and get through some other projects before I try to learn a whole new craft. So that is the big weird project on my 2023 Make 9, a crochet project. But all the rest are knitting. So in my tips for planning a Make 9 that you actually finish, one of the things I said is that you should have a few projects on your list that you can work from stash, that you already have yarn for, so that they're just kind of ready to go when you need them. You don't have to, while the planning process for projects is fun, it's also time consuming, and sometimes we have a lot on our plate and we'd love to start a new project, but we just don't have the bandwidth to actually plan one. So it's nice to have stuff that's ready to go. So I do have a couple ready to go. So one of the projects on my Make 9 is a pair of mittens, and I do have some yarn for that ready to go. So the pattern, I will put the name. I'll put the name here and the photo. It's by Wool and Pine Designs. That I remember. How did I forget already what this pattern was called? Anyway, it calls for a DK weight yarn. And this is a yarn that I think was part of one of the clubs from Fiber for the People a couple of years back that I think will be really beautiful for this. You know, it's not super variegated, but it's certainly not all solid either. So it'll just give it a little bit of visual interest. And I want to start this project soon because I'm trying to do a better job this year of walking, maybe not every day, but most days, getting out for at least 20 minutes to walk. And for the most part, it does not get cold enough here to prevent that. I mean, maybe real late January, early February, there may be a couple of weeks where, but overall, most days our highs, you know, are in the 30s or 40s, even in the winter. And properly prepared, that's still walkable, but I need mittens. I don't have any mittens. I have like one mitten left over from a project I did years ago, which I love. It's a great pair of mittens, but I've lost one of them. So I have a mitten, which is not that helpful. 2 hands, 1 mitten. So I do have yarn for that. And like I said, I want to cast that one on soon. Another project I have half the yarn for is the Great Gingham Raglan. So for Christmas from Santa, I got 3 skeins of this from Spin Cycle. This colorway is called Velocore. And so I want to pair this with, I think, a red or maybe a reddish brown as the main color. So I've got my contrast color here. I just need to get a main color. And I think, I mean, the Spin Cycle yarn, the dyed in the wool, is pretty pricey. But I think you can pair this with a more economically priced solid color. So I'm thinking maybe something from Knit Picks or something like that to get this project off the ground. This probably won't happen till fall. It's gonna be a very fallish sweater if I'm using this kind of autumny colors. So, or maybe late summer so that I can actually wear it in the fall. So I do have at least half the yarn for that one ready to go. I also have yarn for the 2-fold cowl. This, I actually, Karina had a knit along for the cowl in the fall that I intended to do, and just, I had too much else going on. So I'd already wound the yarn and it is ready to go. So these are both Craggy Tweed or Craggy DK from Farmer's Daughter's Fiber. Farmer's Daughter Fibers. I can never remember, something's possessive and something's plural in there. I'm sure you know what I meant. I really like the sort of low contrast here. So we've got 2 pinks and kind of dusky pinks, both of them, for a nice cowl. So I already have that, and that's even already wound. So this will probably hop on the needles relatively soon as well. Again, I would like to have that for this winter, although, you know, we're already halfway through January, so who knows. Although the way that our weather goes now is that it doesn't get as cold. We sometimes, like I said, have some cold streaks come through, but overall it doesn't seem to get as cold. It just stays cold longer. So I'm not sure about last year. Definitely 2 years ago, I wore sweaters to Maryland Sheep and Wool in May. And I remember the first time I went to Maryland Sheep and Wool, like 2009, it was like 90 degrees. So I don't know what's up with our weather, but I should be able to wear a cowl for at least a few more months. So we'll see about that. So that is ready. And then I still have, I have a holdover from last year's Make 9, which is the Magnolia Chunky. And I already have the yarn for that and I've already swatched for that. The only reason I have not started it is because the needles I need for it are in another project, are in a test knit, which we'll see if I have time to show you or not in this episode. But, and it's a size I don't use that often, so I don't really want to buy an extra of that size. And it's not a rush because I have started one project for my Make 9 already. And that is the Heirloom Jumper. I'll put a photo in here. And I have already started this. And it's inside out. This pattern, the pattern designer is, I don't know where she's from. I want to say a Scandinavian country. And it's really interesting, the differences in the way the patterns are written. So one of the instructions after finishing the neckline was increase, 20 stitches evenly across the row. They don't tell you how to do that. They don't give you the numbers. Now it's easy enough to go look that up. There are increase evenly calculators on the internet. You just type in your numbers and it will tell you more or less how to increase or decrease evenly, but it's not included in the pattern. And then the part I'm working on now, it's also, instead of saying things like knit 7, place marker, knit, it will say, okay, well, halfway through, place a marker. So the pattern just expects a little bit more of the knitters. There's a little bit more of work on the knitter's end, which I find interesting. So I have started, I have finished the neck, and am now just starting the lace that goes down the front and the very interesting shoulder shaping. The shaping on this pattern is really unique, and I am really interested in seeing how it plays out as I knit. So the yarn I am using for this, my main yarn is, I don't know exactly the base, but it is a fingering weight. It's very soft. So I want to say it's probably either 100% merino or maybe even a merino cashmere nylon from Fiber for the People, and the colorway is called Sapphire. And then my floof is Knitting for Olive, and this is called Deep Petroleum Blue. If you are looking for a really economically priced silk mohair, this is a really nice one. I really like the Knitting for Olive silk mohair. So this was $12 a ball for my local yarn shop. I don't know, you might find it differently priced online. It is 225 meters, which is some number of yards, and it's 70-30 mohair silk. So it's really nice, it's really soft, I find it less prickly than a lot of silk mohairs, and like I said, it's really reasonably priced. So I should have taken my main yarn to the shop to find a good match, but I thought if I went to the shop, then I would buy a lot of yarn that I didn't need. So I did it entirely online, and I managed to get what I think is just almost an absolutely perfect combination. They match well. There's a slight difference, which I didn't want them to be identical. I wanted, the silk mohair to add a little something to the color, and I think it really worked out well. So that has already been started. It's not moving particularly quickly because that lace design on the front, the wrong side rows are not plain rows, and so you have to pay attention to your chart basically the whole time. which is definitely going to slow things down a little bit until maybe after some repetition, I'll kind of get it memorized. Maybe, we'll see. But like I said, I'm really interested to see how the sleeve and shoulder shaping for this design work out. They're very unique. So we shall see. I am doing, the pattern has 2 sleeve versions. There's like slightly puffed and more puffed. So I'm going to do the more puffed sleeves. And I'm currently working on a sewing project to kind of go with it, which is a little pinafore. But I'll probably tell you more about that next time because I really haven't gotten very far with it. I've definitely been focused more on the knitting than the sewing since Christmas. So maybe next time. And so then there are 3 other projects on my Make 9 that I don't have any yarn for or really any plans for yet. So one's the Musselburgh hat. And that is a pattern by Isolde that about a bajillion people have knit. But I'm just really interested in it is a top-down hat that is double layered. And I'm just sort of really interested to see how it plays out. And it is mostly stockinette. So I think it'll be a really good, easy project for either, you know, when I'm working on a design and doing more complicated things, or, you know, it's the summer and it's hot and I like to keep, you know, my hands busy, but I don't really want like a sweater or something, anything I have to really pay attention to. I think it'll be nice for that. I believe it calls for fingering weight yarn. I have plenty of fingering weight yarn, but I haven't really put any thought into that one yet. There is also the shell bralette. Haven't thought about it at all. Don't even know what kind of yarn it calls for. It's a bralette, it can't be that much yarn. I can hopefully work from stash, but no, haven't. Just put it on there because I like it. And then the other sweater, which is, I believe it's called Smilla or Smila, I'm not sure how you say it, sleeves, which I don't even know what kind of yarn it calls for. I really like it, but I also know the designer is coming out with another pattern that I think she's just putting in testing now, but I'm not on her testing list. And I may end up swapping one for the other if that pattern, you know, comes out and I end up liking it more than this one. I like this one, and my other concern is that I think the pattern she's coming out with is a pullover. I've just seen like little sneak peeks, and I actually would like another cardigan, which is why I picked this one that was also already in my queue. But we'll see. I may swap them out later in the year. But, you know, I don't know, again, I don't know what weight yarn it calls for. I don't know anything. I just really like that cardigan design, so there it is. So I think I've done an okay job of following my own rules. I did not choose 9 sweaters. I did pick at least a few projects that I already have yarn for and I can work from stash. I tried to pick some pieces that are going to fit in well with my existing wardrobe. I think, you know, I'm being pretty realistic about how much I can conceivably finish. I have a couple of these, you know, the mittens and the cowl and the shell bralette are small projects that will work up quickly and leave me more time for sweaters. And I think I'm being pretty flexible because I've already said I might even swap out that one pattern for another of the same designer's patterns. So I'm gonna give, you know, I mean, it's only January, but so far I'm gonna give myself an A for effort on my Make 9. And I will continue to update you guys throughout 2023 on my progress. All right, for On and Off the Needles, I did want to give you guys a peek at the Christmas gift knits that I did finish. So only one of them was done actually for Christmas, and that is Ollie's hat. So I'll pop a photo in here. This is the Runcible hat. He wore it for this picture and has not really worn it since. It has not been super cold, and nor has he spent a lot of time outside. So I suppose he hasn't really needed it, but he seemed very happy to get it. But every time I ask if he wants to wear it, he says no. So, and then the other project I finished right a couple of days after Christmas, which were these socks, rainbow socks for JJ, and he loves them. They are not as big as I had hoped on him. They're a very stretchy pattern. It's basically a garter stitch on the front and ribbing down the back, around and the sides, so that it, rather than creating a heel, you're just creating a fabric that is stretchy enough to kind of form around the heel, which I picked because he is growing so fast. It didn't make sense to knit him a regular pair of socks that he was going to outgrow in 2 months. And because they're so stretchy, I could fit them on my foot, and they were like an ankle sock on me. I was hoping they would be a little longer on him, but they really aren't much. I mean, they definitely fit him for now, and he likes them, has been wearing them, but they're not gonna last too long for him. And now Ollie, who doesn't like socks, as I went off about in the last episode, is asking for his own pair of rainbow socks. And I said, well, you don't even like to wear socks, so why would I knit you a pair of socks for you to not wear? So I don't know. And also, Knit Picks does not have that. That is a rainbow shade of Felici that they do not currently have available. I don't know. I know their Felici offerings change periodically, so I don't know if maybe they might have it in the future, but for now they do not. So no rainbow socks for Ollie. He's not going to wear them anyway. I did finish a pair of fingerless mittens for my husband. I didn't even take a photo of them. I just gave them to him. He likes them. They were not done for Christmas. I actually just gave them to him a couple of days ago. Although to be fair, I had finished them earlier and then set them out to wash and dry, and then forgot. So they've actually been done for like a week. That was the Waystone pattern by Alicia Plummer. Quick and easy, half brioche, fingerless mitts. I knit him the biggest size. I used some leftover yarn from this sweater. Really, really great. If you want a quick, you can really get into the rhythm with brioche, and the same is true of the half brioche. And they look much more complicated than they actually are. So if you're looking for a quick mitten pattern, that's a nice one. So that was all of the gift knitting that I had pending in the last episode. So I did finish it all, just not actually for Christmas. And other than that, what I am working on right now, I had just finished up this hat. And what I've mostly been working on is, I'm still on Sleeve Island on my Felix pullover, so I really don't have anything to show you there. But I've been working on this test knit. So this pattern is the Willow cardigan. I believe it's coming out next month from Kirsten. I don't know if it's pronounced Joel or Joelle. And I actually don't know if it's Kirsten or Kirsten. A lot of questions and no answers, but this is sort of a chunky cardigan that is basically like this eyelet pattern and garter trim. Wears up in a bulky yarn. So her sample uses Brooklyn Tweed Quarry. I wanted to be able to get started quickly, and none of the stores near me carry that. So I am using Terrarium Natura's Cyrano, which is they say heavy Aran, but really more like a bulky weight yarn. This colorway, I believe, is called Quartz, and it is knitting up very nicely. And this will really open up nicely when it's blocked as well. It is an easy to memorize pattern, and lots of my own hair is stuck in it. That's not part of it. I'm really looking forward to having this as a kind of throw on over pretty much anything sweater. And like I said, I believe it's coming. I really gotta get moving because I think this pattern is coming out in February. I have used the quarry before for a hat, and I think this yarn is just a little bit sturdier, which I like. The quarry is, I don't think I have any, but it's basically, it's almost one of these kind of pencil roving yarns. Has a little bit more twist than that, but it is very delicate. And this, like all of the Durham Nature yarns, has like a special woolen worsted combo spin process that makes it nice and lofty, but gives it just a little bit more structure and durability. So I am really happy with how that is working up. I really hope that I bought enough yarn. I could probably, when I say my local yarn store, there is a yarn store somewhat nearby in Rockville, Maryland. I don't love their selection. So usually I would go up to the Knot House in Frederick. They're closing. So by local yarn store, I mean Fiber Space, which is in Alexandria, Virginia, and is technically, I think, only like 20 or 25 miles from me, but it takes the better part of an hour to get there, which isn't terrible. And Alexandria's, downtown Alexandria is really cute, and you can walk around. There's restaurants, there's a sewing shop, and you know, all of that. So it's not terrible to have to go down there, but it's not like right around the corner either. So hopefully I do have enough yarn. I did actually recently sign up for another test knit with Alicia Plummer and ordered more Durham Natura yarn, but this time instead of picking it up from Fiber Space, I paid the $7 to ship it, so I would not go down there and buy more yarn that I don't need and spend a day shopping for things I don't need. So I'm going to be doing yet another project with the Durham Natura yarns. I do really like them. So if you haven't checked any of them out, definitely do that. My another test knit is going to be in Ulisse, which is their sport weight yarn that I have used before. And I will certainly be telling you more about that in the next episode. I'll just do a little chatter with you guys today. Happy New Year. I hope everyone had an enjoyable New Year, an enjoyable holiday season, and everyone is slowly adapting to real life again. I was really overwhelmed this Christmas trying to get everything done. And once the holiday season was over, I was really kind of split between wanting to just get back to normal life and life stresses and wanting the holiday season to continue because I had been so busy making it happen that I hadn't really been able to enjoy it. So, I mean, I can want it to last longer, it doesn't matter, it didn't. So we're pretty much back to normal life, kids back in school. This week I celebrated my sister's 40th birthday with her. I am too old to stay out and drink and sing karaoke until midnight on a Tuesday. I will not be doing that again anytime soon, but I think she had a nice birthday. I got her tickets to see this comedian she likes named Nate Bargatze. And I got, obviously I got 2 tickets, so I think I'm gonna have to go with her. It's gonna be in Hershey, Pennsylvania in May, and she was very excited about that. She originally said, oh, we should go see him in Las Vegas, but that was not happening. Too much else going on. That kind of expense was not in the cards, but Hershey, Pennsylvania I can do. So she's very excited about that, and I guess I'll be making the trip up to Hershey in May for that. And this weekend, I am looking forward to staying home and doing nothing. I don't have to buy and wrap gifts, make cookies, cook big meals, plan holidays, decorate. I don't have to do any of that. I don't have to go anywhere. We don't have any social engagements this weekend. I thought we were going to have this last weekend, but then at the last minute we got invited to something with my family. So it's a long weekend because it's Martin Luther King, and I already told my kids we're doing nothing. We're going nowhere. We're staying at home. You can, if it's warm enough, you can play outside, but I'm not taking you anywhere. Just gonna relax. And I am really looking forward to it. Like I said, I was very, very overwhelmed by Christmas this year, so I'm looking forward to a little break. And then I have already started, got my new Clever Fox planner. I get one of these pretty much every year, and then with varying degrees of success, but I really like it. But I've already started creating a plan for next Christmas for things to go more smoothly and to get finished earlier so that I can perhaps enjoy the holiday instead of just feeling very overwhelmed. So hopefully next Christmas will be a little bit more enjoyable for me. I don't want it to sound like it was terrible. It wasn't. I just was doing too many things, and I would like to not be doing that next year. So I think if I plan better and plan ahead, maybe I can get a handle on that. And other than that, we are back to work, back to school, back to knitting. And really, I'm waiting for a decent snowfall. So far, no luck. Thank you guys so much for joining me for another episode of the Hilo and Stitch podcast. Show notes with links to everything that I've talked about can be found at mediaperuana.com/Hilo and Stitch. If you enjoyed this episode, I hope that you will give it a thumbs up, share with your friends. Please do subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future episodes, knitting tutorials, and other good stuff I have here on the channel. If you are looking for me on social media, you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Media Peruana, and I will see you next time.